This is the reason a clean 2004 Lexus LS430 now sells for $17,000, which is more than it cost 5 years ago, and why the smartest car buyers in America are deliberately shopping for vehicles built before 2006. $50,000. That's what the average new car costs in this country after the transaction price crossed that line for the first time in September 2025, according to Kelley Blue Book and Cox Automotive. 1 in 5 buyers now carries a monthly payment north of $1,000, and what exactly are they getting for that money? A rolling surveillance system with a touchscreen that takes 3 times longer to use than a row of buttons, software that uploads your location every 3 seconds, and heated seats that some manufacturers tried to lock behind a monthly subscription. A growing number of drivers, many of them experienced and over 50, have looked at all of this and made a calculated decision. They are buying cars from roughly 2000 to 2006, vehicles built before the touchscreen takeover, before the backup camera mandate, before cellular telematics became standard, and before your car became a data collection device that reports to insurance companies without telling you. The pre-screen era, some are calling it, and the math behind their decision is hard to argue with. Understanding what these buyers are avoiding starts with how fast car interiors actually changed. A 9-inch CRT touchscreen appeared in the 1986 Buick Riviera, branded as the Graphic Control Center, and Buick killed it within 4 years because drivers found it distracting. BMW brought the concept back with iDrive in the 20017 series. But the real turning point landed in 2012 when Tesla put a 17-inch center screen in the Model S. Every manufacturer chased it, and the industry gave the phenomenon a name, the Tesla effect. Penetration numbers tell the rest of that story. Dashboard touchscreens jumped from 53% of new vehicles in 2014 to 82% by 2020, and then to roughly 97 to 99% from 2023 onward, with about a quarter of cars on American roads now carrying screens 11 inches or larger. Buying a new car without one became effectively impossible. The backlash showed up in the data before it showed up in the headlines. J.D. Power's 2024 initial quality study identified infotainment as the single most problematic category in new vehicles, and their owner satisfaction study recorded 2 consecutive years of declining scores for the first time in 28 years. Director Kathleen Risk put it plainly, saying owners find certain technologies of little use and continually annoying. The most damning evidence, though, came from a Swedish airfield in August 2022. The automotive magazine Vi Bil tested 12 cars at 68 miles per hour, asking drivers to perform 4 common tasks like adjusting climate and turning on heated seats. A 2005 Volvo V70 with physical buttons finished everything in 10 seconds. The average touchscreen car needed almost 25 seconds, and the worst performer burned through 45 seconds, covering over 4,000 feet while the driver stared at a screen instead of the road ahead. That gap between 10 seconds and 45 seconds is not progress dressed up as innovation. It is a measured, documented safety failure. Cars from 2000 to 2006 are simpler for a reason most buyers never think about, which is that the government had not yet required the electronics that define every modern vehicle. A specific regulatory timeline engineered that complexity in mandate by mandate, year by year. OBD2 diagnostics came first for model year 1996 under the Clean Air Act, and that one actually helps the pre-screen buyer because any $20 scanner works on any car built after that date, giving independent mechanics full access. Tire pressure monitoring followed for all vehicles, starting model year 2008. Electronic stability control became mandatory for model year 2012, and event data recorders, which are essentially black boxes logging your speed and braking for 5 seconds before a crash, were standardized in 2006 and nearly universal by 2012. Backup cameras arrived as a requirement on the 1st of May 2018, which meant every car suddenly needed a screen. Automatic emergency braking was finalized in May 2024, with full compliance due by September 2029. That regulatory accretion, stacked on top of voluntary infotainment expansion, explains why a 2003 Camry runs on roughly 30 electronic control units, while a 2024 Camry depends on over 100. Each added module raises the purchase price, inflates the repair bill, and narrows your ability to fix the car yourself or take it to the shop of your choice. What these systems do with your data is the part of this story that should genuinely bother you. 600 hours of analysis went into the Mozilla Foundation report published in September 2023, and the conclusion they reached was blunt. They called modern cars the official worst category of products for privacy that we have ever reviewed. All 25 brands failed, every single one, a first. In the 7 years Mozilla had been running these assessments. 84% of brands share or sell personal data. Across various privacy policies, automakers reserve the right to collect precise location, voice recordings, and biometric data, and in the case of Nissan and Kia, even information about sexual activity and health diagnoses, designated for targeted marketing purposes. Jen Caltrider, the Mozilla researcher who led the project, summed it up this way: consumers have almost zero control and options in regard to privacy, other than simply buying an older model. That warning moved from theoretical to concrete on the 11th of March 2024, when Kashmir Hill of the New York Times reported that General Motors had been selling OnStar smart driver data to LexisNexis Risk Solutions and Verisk Analytics, both of which resold it to insurance companies. Her lead subject, a Seattle man named Ken Dahl who leased a Chevy Bolt, received a 258-page consumer disclosure report detailing 640 of his trips. Every instance of hard braking and rapid acceleration logged and sold without his knowledge. His insurance had jumped 21%, and 8 different insurers had pulled his data in the prior month alone. The fallout moved fast after that. GM ended data sharing with LexisNexis and Verisk by March 20th and killed the smart driver program entirely by April. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed suit against GM in August 2024, alleging data collection from 14 million vehicles affecting 1.8 million Texans, and his statement cut to the bone. Millions of American drivers wanted to buy a car, not a comprehensive surveillance system. Senators Ron Wyden and Ed Markey then revealed that Hyundai had shared data from 1.7 million vehicles with Verisk for a grand total of $1,043,000, which works out to about 61 cents per car. Their response called it particularly insulting to squeeze out a few additional pennies of profit with consumers' private data. A proposed FTC settlement against GM and OnStar came in January 2025 and was finalized in January 2026 as a 20-year consent order requiring affirmative express consent before sharing data, but the order carried no financial penalty. None of that addressed the broader pattern. In April 2023, Reuters interviewed 9 former Tesla employees who described sharing customer camera footage internally, including footage of private garages and driveways. Ford filed a patent application in August 2024 describing a system that would monitor passenger conversations to serve targeted audio advertisements during lulls in conversation. A 2004 Toyota Camry has no cellular connection, uploads nothing, and has no idea where you went for dinner. That absence alone now qualifies as a feature. The subscription problem sits right alongside the surveillance problem, and the examples read like a parody of corporate overreach. BMW launched a program in July 2022, charging $18 a month for heated seats in cars where the heating elements were already physically installed. The wires already connected, the hardware sitting right there under the leather. Customer fury killed the program by September 2023, and a board member later admitted that buyers feel that they paid double. Toyota drew similar outrage by charging $8 a month for the remote start function on a key fob, not the app, but the physical key fob the customer already owned, and reversed course after the backlash. Mercedes still charges $1,200 a year for a software unlock that adds horsepower to their electric vehicles. Tesla announced that after February 2026, full self-driving would become subscription-only with no one-time purchase option. And then there is GM's decision to strip Apple CarPlay and Android Auto from their electric vehicles starting in 2023, with plans to extend that removal across all GM vehicles by 2028. Apple reported that 79% of U.S. car buyers would only consider CarPlay-compatible vehicles, which means GM is walking away from a supermajority preference to push a proprietary system. A 2003 Land Cruiser's heated seats activate when you push a button. No subscription, no app, no over-the-air update reshaping what your car can do while it sits in your driveway overnight. The dollar figures tell a story that's hard to look away from. $50,326. That's where the average new car transaction price landed in December 2025, an all-time record. Monthly payments for new vehicles reached $767 in Q4 of that year. backed by average loan amounts of $43,582, financed over nearly 69 months at rates between 6.5% and 7%. More than 20% of those loans now stretch to 84 months or longer, which means 7 years of payments on something that loses value every single month. Signs of strain are everywhere in the lending data. Auto loans moving into serious delinquency hit a 15-year high of nearly 3% in Q3 2025, according to the New York Fed. Subprime auto delinquencies climbed to 6.6 to 5% in October 2025, the highest level since Fitch began tracking in the early 1990s. Repossessions reached 1.73 million in 2024, the most since 2009, and a quarter of people trading in their vehicles owed more than $10,000 beyond what the car was worth. The pre-screened buyer's math looks nothing like that. A clean Lexus LS430 averages around $17,000, and a third-generation Toyota 4Runner runs about $15,500. You pay cash, carry no monthly payment, owe no interest, and switch to liability-only insurance, because full coverage on a 20-year-old car costs 141% of its value annually. Repair costs widen the gap even further. AAA's December 2023 study found that advanced driver assistance systems add 37.6% to crash repair costs, with windshield replacement averaging $1,440 once you factor in camera calibration. A single infotainment screen replacement runs $600 to $1,200 on a mainstream car and $2,000 to $3,000 on a luxury vehicle. Cox Automotive reports repair and maintenance costs up 33% since 2020, a burden that falls heaviest on owners of complex modern vehicles. A 2003 Camry, by contrast, can be diagnosed with a $20 scanner and repaired in any corner shop in America. The specific cars these buyers are choosing tell a clear story, and Toyota and Lexus dominate it. Analyzing 260 million vehicles, the IC Cars study found the Toyota Land Cruiser leads everything with 18.2% reaching 200,000 miles against an industry average of just 1.2%. Across the entire brand, 17% of Toyotas reach 250,000 miles, which is double the industry average. Consumer Reports consistently ranks Lexus first and Toyota second for used car reliability. Auction prices reflect that durability. The Toyota Land Cruiser 100 series, built from 1998 to 2007, now averages over $22,000, with exceptional examples reaching $74,000. Clean Lexus LS430S averaged $17,000, and a record sale hit $65,000 in July 2024. Third-generation 4Runners that changed hands for under $5,000 a few years ago now command over $20,000 with 140,000 miles showing on the odometer. Jeep Cherokee XJs have reached $42,000 at auction, and first-generation Mazda Miata, quote, requests at Haggerty climbed 40% since 2022. These are not collector cars sitting under covers in temperature-controlled garages. They are daily drivers bought by people who ran the numbers. Honesty requires mentioning what you give up, because this would be a dishonest video without it. NHTSA data puts it starkly. Drivers in vehicles 18 years or older face a 71% higher chance of fatal injury in a crash compared to drivers in vehicles 3 years old or newer. Cars built before 2012 may lack electronic stability control, and those built before 2002 may lack side curtain airbags. Fuel economy has improved 41% since 2004, according to the EPA, and that translates to real money saved at the pump every week. Those are legitimate trade-offs that nobody should ignore. The pre-screen strategy works best with low-mileage examples from reliability-leading brands, driven carefully by experienced drivers who understand exactly what they are choosing and what they are giving up. The bigger picture, though, puts this trend in context. Average vehicle age on American roads hit a record 12.8 years in 2025, with 289 million vehicles in operation. Americans are already keeping their cars longer than any previous generation because the economics of replacement have turned punishing. Pre-screen buyers are not doing anything radical. They are just doing it on purpose. What they are trading away is some crashworthiness and fuel efficiency. What they are gaining is privacy, repairability, affordability, and the plain dignity of owning a machine that does what you tell it, does not watch you do it, and never sends you a bill for the privilege. The question worth sitting with is not whether these drivers are making a smart choice. The question is whether the automakers who drove them away will reverse enough of their mistakes fast enough to bring them back.